Fashion Now with host Styles Lewis.
You're watching Fashion Now with me, Styles Lewis.
Denny Mo's Media House Inc. excels in capturing the essence of celebrities through stunning photography and videography, providing behind-the-scenes access for tours, movies, and television productions, ensuring every moment is expertly immortalized. Looking to elevate your project with professional media services? Hire Denny Mo's Media House Inc. for top-notch photography, videography, and behind-the-scenes coverage. Visit our website at www.dennymosmediahouse.com to learn more and get started.
Good evening and welcome to New York Fashion Week, presented by Runway 7 here at Sterling Mall. This season, we have over 130 designers from 12 different countries.
Fashion Now presents One-on-One with Runway 7's executive producer, Rob Lee, with host Styles Lewis.
You're watching Fashion Now with me, Styles Lewis. And today we are here having an amazing show. We are here with one of the executive producers of Runway 7 Fashion, Rob Lee. And we're talking about the business of fashion, all right? So, guys, come with me. Well, or just let's meet Rob Lee.
How are you?
How are you? Thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure being here. I just, it's an honor, and just anything that recognizes the brand and what we do, and it's always a humbling honor to just, be here with you.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so excited myself. I love everything fashion and everything production. So this is right up my alley.
All right, now let's get it.
So let's start off with you telling our viewers what got you into the fashion industry. Let's start there.
Good question. What got me and us into the business? So I've always been in the entertainment industry. I've been in front of the camera, behind the camera, on the stage, behind the stage. I've been an executive in the music industry as well. I've worked with some of the biggest and the best out there, and it's been a blessing of a ride. But as we know, right, when you do music, you got to look good too. So fashion has always, been a part of the walk, right? And it's part of everyday life. But in terms of the business, it was a natural progression, crossing the streams. I would say marrying the streams, okay. more so than crossing. But, fashion itself, we always moved with brands. Myself, my partner, Anthony Rosa, it's the brainchild. That's my guy. It's my brother's family. But, we always dealt with brands, and we dealt with people who had brands. So we were always in that space. And once we erected a factory in Lima, Peru, we opened the doors to that in 2008. From the ground up, we built this thing up, 1 floor, 2 floors, 3 floors, 5 floors, so, and it's been a beautiful journey in that respect, learning fashion from literally conception, right? And how you go to a certain city where it's the garment district, and you find and you see these patterns of fabric that are essentially what you have on now, or, oh, wait a minute, that's the couch that I see, so So once we got into that game, that just opened the floodgates to fashion and just putting our chess piece on the board, from that perspective, more from manufacturing, and then, everything kind of flowed from there.
Let's just jump right into that. How did you guys manage to lock in Sony Music Hall
It was a journey.
as a venue?
It was a journey, but the thing is, we always shout them out because they were willing to take a chance. We were conceptualized and birthed out of COVID, right? Just like, out of chaos creates opportunity. So when the whole world was in chaos, we felt like that was the perfect time to try the model, the platform of Runway 7 and say, all right, we're going to bring this thing out. And if nobody comes, it's COVID. So it was, that's always the running joke, because we're like, hey, if people don't come, because we can make this show all day, but if people say, I don't want to go to that,
Just gonna blame COVID.
we're just gonna blame COVID. But we didn't have to do that, fortunately. When we did the very first show, and again, like I said, it was to see what the walking format of Runway 7 would look like live. It's one thing to conceptualize it on paper, but when you bring it live, you get a chance to see, okay, this works, that doesn't work, we'll never do that again, or something like that. And that's something we do to this day, even, after we have our shows. But that very first one was the one that really not just gave us our legs, but it allowed us to take off like a rocket, because Forbes magazine covered it. And once they put it out there, they titled it by saying, this is what New York Fashion Week should look like.
No way.
So once they said that, we were like, oh, okay, now we got to really get to work, So, but that's exactly what happened. And from there, we just had to really kind of chase our own tail at that point and just really.
That's such a high honor.
It is.
At the first time.
It is. And then, of course, all the other media outlets started putting it out. And then, of course, this is the era of social media. So people started, Instagramming it, tweeting it, so it was just going everywhere. And I distinctly remember when models would be running from another show, and I would hear them saying, yeah, I was just at the Vanity Fair show, but they're always talking about Runway 7, or I was just at Forever 21, they're talking about Runway 7, and we're like, okay, we getting out there. And so that's been a beautiful thing to watch this thing just grow organically. And also attract people organically. You know how, you're in fashion, right? So some shows you go to, it's star-studded, it's this and that, because, people go out and get the stars. We fortunately have not had to do that. Of course we go through, we have our PR people we deal with and everything, but we based it on the people. You know what I mean? So when anybody that's come to a Runway 7 fashion show knows when you come, it's like you in a living room. It's lively, it's conversation. You don't have to talk like this. It's a party. You can see somebody on the stage and be like, woo, So people get to enjoy themselves. But just kind of seeing, people talk about that experience is what we pay attention to. Okay, people like this. The visuals, when you walk into Runway 7, you're at the experience even in line.
You're right.
So when people walk in, they're like, wow, and then they come in, they see the red carpet happening, and then they get a chance to see Evander Holyfield walking by, or Ryan Seacrest, and this and then they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, So, and then, we have the live DJ getting busy right there in the red carpet. And then you coming down and seeing a lot of eye candy. And then you get a chance to see our mannequin station where you see the apparel, things like that. And sometimes we'll drop little, other candy there. Like we had a live magazine box in September, and everyone loved that. They were just posing in it, and of course it's Runway 7 out.
I've seen it at other events.
Yeah, so and then all that's before you even walk in.
Right.
So when you actually walk in the show, and then you got the bar, you got the seating area, you got the team greeting you, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Where can you let me see your ticket, where you're sitting, and we just try to continuously just give people, like I said, that experience that's unparalleled.
As an executive producer or one of a team of producers, how much say-so do you have in saying we should have such and such in the audience? Or are you just letting it, like you said, organically evolve and you just worry about the show and whoever comes, comes? Or do you guys send out specifically? Because you said Ryan Seacrest, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And the thing is that, so a joke, I remember I was arriving at one of our shows and as I'm walking up, Evander Holyfield's getting out of the car that brought him. And I was like, oh, what's up, champ? And he was just like, hey, what's up, man? And he said, do you happen to know what, I said, you looking for Runway 7? He was like, yeah. I said, matter of fact, I'm going to that show too. So we both walk in and then they're like, hey, Rob. I said, yeah, I'm one of the executive producers. He was like, man, it's nice to meet you. So we started having a dialogue and I said, well, what brought you to the show? You know, because it's Evander Holyfield, right? His wife was a model for one of the brands. That was the same thing for Ryan Seacrest. So when Evander walked in and I said, oh, so your lady made you come? He was like, yeah. I said, so she the real fighter in the house, huh? He started laughing. And but it was a great look and he just like, man, I had a wonderful time. I didn't know that it was like
the
this.
Is really high
Definitely
high. And other runway shows have those, some have those high energies as well, but most shows are like, come watch the show and move on to the next. You kind of have an extra party atmosphere, and if it's the last show, they can hang around a little bit longer.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're giving some juice there. Yeah. We want people to leave, like, you know, when you go to the amusement park, right, and you get on that roller coaster or that particular ride, and you're like, man, that was crazy. I got to get on that again. That's how we want people to feel when they come in. Now, we're not perfect, you know, because obviously we have growing pains like any other, you know, business or platform does. But one thing we're very intentional about doing, the executive team, we are very intentional about, you know, taking notes and listening. You know, we'll look at something and we can look in the mirror and be like, you know what, that didn't work. So, yeah.
Let's talk about the designers. How do the designers get selected, or even how can a designer be a part of the show for September coming up? What are some of the things they have to do?
Absolutely. Everyone goes to the mothership, the website. And when people fill out the form, they're able to not just fill out for brands, because there's volunteers, there's brands, there's media. So you simply go there, register, and the admin team receives the information. And the admin team has the task now of filtering, because another way that we keep things fresh is we try to mix it up. You know, because we've had models also become popular demand, or their career took off because of Runway 7 fashion. Same with photographers. I've had media come up to me and say, hey, I got my major career now because I shot Runway 7. And models are like, yeah, now I'm signed. And, you know, so hearing those stories are great. So we try to mix it up, you know, and try to shake it up so that way you're seeing new faces. Again, a challenge, right? Because the admin team, they have the task of doing that. Now, obviously, as the executive team, when you give out duties and responsibilities, you trust them to do that. And then when it gets to us, we might say, okay, that's cool, or we might have to make the executive call and say, no.
Let's go a different way.
Yeah. So, so that's always a challenge, but that's also the selection process. I always tell everyone, just go to the website. You know, that's how you get, you know, your information in, and we'll go from there. But then there are some people that we see that we'll actually seek out. Like we might see, I don't know, Beyonce just dropped, you know, obviously she had her collection, right? But anyone on that level, you know, that's like, okay, they've come out with something. We're like, let's approach them.
Oh, so you do ask?
Oh, we don't have a problem asking nobody.
Regardless if they say yes or not, you do still.
We have no problem saying, hey, we're Runway 7 Fashion. If you haven't heard of us, blah, 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 you can, because at the end of the day, everyone that creates a brand, you got to get it out there some way, right? And to validate the brand, you do have to do New York City Fashion Week.
So you just said New York City Fashion Week. Let's just go there. You guys are running a fashion show during New York City Fashion Week. Are you on their calendar? Great question. You're probably the first person that has asked the right question. So funny thing is, right? Yes, that was
that was a bold move of us, right?
Yeah.
Because we're competitors at the end of the day.
Right,
You know,
of
I'm a
course.
basketball player. Anthony's a basketball player.
Oh, really?
So we're competitive. So we're like, you know what? We know it's other shows out there. We just gonna get out there and compete. And lo and behold, the actual founders of New York City Fashion Week ended up coming to our show. Yeah, that's for us was a real like, okay.
Because now they want to see what you're doing.
Exactly. And once they came in and they saw like, okay, that was like another like knighting of like, okay, you guys are official. And that's why it's New York City Fashion Week presents Runway 7 Fashion, blah, 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 blah. Wow. Yeah. So we made a bold move by actually putting, because right, everyone puts on a show, right? And the way I like to describe us is kind of a twofold thing. I call us the Super Bowl of Fashion Week because if a musician or artist performs, what they get in return is similar to, you know, Super Bowl. Like, you know, everyone knows artists that perform Super Bowl, they don't get a check from that. But what they do get in return in terms of sponsorship, opportunities, et cetera, they're able to make it happen.
Guys, this is a personal question that I'm asking, so y'all are just going to be with me while we talk a second. I was there, maybe, I don't think it was this season, past the season before, and one particular designer had like a whole 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had so many brands
Yeah.
and they came out, they weren't American at all. So how do you advertise internationally and get everybody to want to even be a part of this show and bring all their stuff? Because that brand, I just remember the Sparkle one, but they had several brands and they just kept going and going. How does that go?
So the way the brands present, we do 6 shows a day for 5 days. So we have 11, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And within that presenting hour, that's when you have multiple brands present. Now, obviously brands that are, you know, have bigger budgets can say, hey, no, we want the hour to ourselves.
Yes.
You know, so that's literally how that part works. But then, like I said, as a matter of fact, just in February, we had the brand Adore Me. That's now under Victoria's Secret. So they bought out the day. And they were like, this is only, it's a private show. So this wasn't open to the public. Fantastic show. But again, when I said music and fashion meets on our stage, so they were presenting their show cabaret style. So they brought Maya to perform and she did the Lady Marmalade and everything, you know, songs in her catalog. Then there was another brand, Creators Inc. They brought Rich the Kid and Sukihana. So, you know, so brands know they have that type of flexibility to just be creative and bring those things together. And they'll say either, look, this is just a, you know.
Do you give them stipulations as to how the show runs?
Well, of course, there are, you know, different rules to the house. Okay. You know,
They fall in line.
They fall in line, but it's a collaborative effort. It's not like, here are the rules, just make sure you follow them. It's not that. We have to make sure that they understand we're a production. So one of the other things that we did last September, we unveiled the first full LED stage and runway. Okay. So you know how when you go to a show, you see the big LED screen? Yeah. Well, the entire runway was that. Oh my God. Yeah, so visuals from, you know, the pit and pictures, people were just like, oh my God, this is crazy. So everything that you saw on the screen was visually on the runway as well. So so we cover rules like that just because sometimes we'll have performers and they're like, oh, we're river dancing. We're like, no, you're not. So, that's not happening. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it in sneakers, you know? So we just make sure that, you know, things don't compromise the actual, you know, physical stage and things like that.
Well, how do you get your sponsorship or brands to support? Well, we know the brand part. So we know how brands, and the brands are designers or collections that want to showcase. As a fashion show producer, outside of the Peru family side, how does an executive producer reach out to the support and the sponsorship so that the show could exist?
Yep, well, you already touched on it, Peru. Yeah. So Peru, you know, they have their orders as well. It's like, okay, you guys get busy, start getting out there fishing. Let's get after these brands, let them know who we are. It's our job to make sure that we put together such a finished product that it's hard to say no.
Does your brand, Runway 7, do anything for the community in the give back space, speaking to say to them, welcoming the diversity?
Absolutely. And we just recently did this. We have a lab coat series because we're in terms of our community give back, we give back to Mount Sinai for MS research, and proudly we've given over $100,000 to research there. We were just actually recently recognized for that at the gala that we just attended last month. It was beautiful, beautiful time, beautiful people, but it was just good to see so many people dedicated to just such a worthy cause, and and even how we got to that. I got to shout out Ralphie. Ralphie Rosa is Anthony's brother. We lost him, unfortunately, due to that, and we've just been mission driven in making sure that not only are we giving to others, but to represent Ralphie. Ralphie always full of life. Talented musician as well, and so we're doing this in service, but we're also doing this in, again, representation. So we love that, and that's what we're doing.
This was amazing. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
You're watching Fashion Now. Today we're here with Rob Lee, and you guys have to, if you don't know anything about Runway 7, today's the day to look them up. All designers, if you're interested, even volunteering or being a part of the staff, check in on their website and see what you could do. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for watching Fashion Now with Styles Lewis. One-on-one with Runway 7's executive producer, Rob Lee. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.